Welcome dear students to yet another class on the history of English language and literature. Now we are discussing some of the important personalities of the Victorian age. We have already discussed about Charles Darwin and his theory of evolution. We have talked about Karl Marx and Marxism. We have talked about J.S. Mill and the theory of utilitarianism. And in our class today, we shall talk about Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud is an important personality. He lived from 1856 to 1939. And Sigmund Freud, as I said, is another important personality who made a great impact in the Victorian times. Sigmund Freud was an Austrian neurologist. He was born to Jewish parents in the Austrian Empire. He would qualify as a doctor of medicine in 1881 at the University of Vienna and became an affiliated professor in the same University of Vienna in 1902. In 1938, he would leave Austria fearing persecution. He died in exile in the United Kingdom in 1939. So another important figure who made an impact in the Victorian era is Sigmund Freud. And Sigmund Freud is renowned as the founder of psychoanalysis. So the importance of Sigmund Freud lies in the fact that he founded psychoanalysis. So naturally you will ask, what is psychoanalysis? So psychoanalysis is the brainchild of Sigmund Freud, we can say. So what is psychoanalysis? Now psychoanalysis is a set of theories and therapeutic techniques, related to the study of the unconscious mind, So psychoanalysis is a set of theories and therapeutic techniques that is related to the unconscious mind. So naturally we will ask, what is this unconscious mind? Freud divided the mind into the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. The conscious mind and the unconscious mind. So what is this conscious mind? Conscience means, we know the meaning. Conscious means that which we are aware of, we are conscious of. The conscious mind involves all the things that you are currently aware of and thinking about. So it is something that you are aware of or something that you are consciously thinking of. So what is unconscious? The unconscious means that which we are not aware of. The unconscious mind consists of the processes in the mind which occur automatically. These are not things that are deliberately caused by us, deliberately caused by our thinking. It takes place automatically. Lot of unwanted memories, thoughts, motives, etc. can be suppressed in the mind which we are not aware of. And Freud would say that the conscious mind is the ego. The conscious mind is the ego. The unconscious mind was further divided into two by Freud, the id and the superego. The id and the superego. Let us now talk something about the human personality. So we are talking about psychoanalysis. Let us see something about the human personality. Freud would say that the human personality is very complex and the human personality has more than one component. The human personality has more than one component. In his psychoanalytic theory, Freud would state that the human personality consists of three elements. Which are those three elements? The id, the ego and the superego. Id, ego and the superego. And these three elements of the human personality, they work together to create the complex human behavior. The human behavior that is quite complex is created by these three components. The human behavior or the human personality is quite complex. It is not very simple, as you would say. The complex human behavior is made possible by the working together of all these three components, id, ego and superego. Now each of these components makes their own contribution to the personality of a person. Now let us see something more about these components of the human personality, the id, the ego and the superego. So let us see something about the first component. The first component is called the id, id, id. The id is the only component of the personality that is present from the birth of the person. So id is present from the birth of the person. It is a primary component of personality and it is the source of all psychic energy. So it is present from the person from his birth or from her birth. This component of personality is completely unconscious and includes instinctive and primitive behavior. Instinctive is something that is attributed to animals. So what is instinctive behavior? It is a natural behavior. The actions that are based on the instinctive behavior. The animals behave on instinct, I said. When the animals are hungry, they will hunt and eat. The nest building of a spider is an instinctive behavior. The migration of birds is another instinctive behavior. So instinctive behavior is something that is attributed to animals. The id, that is the source of instinctive behavior. The source of instinctive behavior in human beings is from the first component called the id. Now the id is driven by pleasure principle. What is pleasure principle? The pleasure principle strives for immediate satisfaction or immediate gratification of all desires. If these desires are not satisfied, it leads to tension and anxiety. So id is the instinctual part of the mind. It contains all sexual and aggressive desires, aggressive drives. It contains hidden memories. The instinctive component of the personality, id. The second component of the human personality is called the ego. We have heard about this particular word, ego. Now what does Freud mean by ego? Ego is the realistic part of the personality. In other words, ego is the component of the personality that is responsible for dealing with reality. Ego operates on the reality principle. The id functions on the pleasure principle and ego operates on the reality principle. What is this reality principle? This is a principle on which ego functions, we say. So what is this reality principle? Now ego will make sure that the impulses, the drives of the id or the desires of the id are expressed or satisfied in a manner that is acceptable to the real world. The ego will try to satisfy the desires of the id in a manner that is acceptable to the society. What will ego do? Ego will weigh the positives and negative sides of the actions before doing the action itself. The desires or the impulses of the id are acted upon if they are socially acceptable. The desires or the impulses of the id are discarded, not acted upon if they are not socially acceptable. So the decision is made by ego. Now the impulses of the id are satisfied by delayed gratification. Delayed gratification. What is the meaning of delayed gratification? The meaning of delayed gratification is this: the ego will allow the behavior not immediately, but only in the appropriate time, but only in the appropriate place. Delayed gratification, not immediate gratification, delayed gratification. Now Freud would compare the id to the horse and ego to the rider. The horse and the rider. The rider will control the horse, we know. Similarly, the ego will control the id. The horse provides the power and motion. The direction is given by the rider. So, the instinctive impulses of the id are controlled by ego. The instinctive impulses of the id are controlled by ego. The third component, the third element of the personality is called superego. The superego contains the internalized moral principles or ideals that we acquire from our parents and society. Thus the superego guides our judgments and decisions. The superego will start to emerge in a person at the age of 5. So it contains all the ideals, principles that we gain from parents and society. The superego has got two parts, he would say. The first part is called conscience, the second part is called ego ideal. So the first part of the superego is conscience, and it includes information about things that are viewed as bad by the parents and society. What the parents and society considers as bad. That is the first part, the conscience. The second part is the ego ideal. And what are they? They are the rules and standards for behavior that ego will aspire. So the two parts of superego, conscience and ego ideal. Now we need to remember that all these three are not separate principles with clear distinct boundaries, but they are always interacting and thus influence an individual's personality and behavior. So they work together, they interact together, making a person's behavior. It is in 1899 Sigmund Freud would publish his path-breaking book, The Interpretation of Dreams. Please remember this particular book, The Interpretation of Dreams, that was published in 1899 by Sigmund Freud. It was a path-breaking book. The theory of unconscious was introduced in this particular book by Sigmund Freud. He would state that the motives of our behavior lie not only in our rational conscious minds, but the motives of our behavior also lie in the irrational realms of our unconscious, which manifests itself in our dreams. The motives of our behavior are not only in the conscious mind, but also in the unconscious mind. We do not know what is our unconscious mind, but the unconscious mind will reveal itself in the dreams. The unconscious mind, something that we are not aware of, is revealed in our dreams. The unconscious would manifest itself in our dreams. That is what he would say. Now Freud would say that the dreams have got two parts. The dreams have the manifest content and the latent content. Dreams have got two parts, the manifest content as well as the latent content. The manifest content is the remembered content of the dreams, and the latent content is the underlying meaning of the dream. Now we remember part of our dreams, that is known as a manifest content. The underlying meaning of the dream is known as the latent or hidden content. So the psychoanalysis of Freud talks about the conscious and the unconscious mind. Ego is part of the conscious mind. The id and superego is part of the unconscious mind. So please remember all these things while we learn Sigmund Freud. The human personality consists of three components, as we said: the id, the ego, the superego. Id is a source of instinctual behavior that functions on pleasure principle. The ego is the component that controls the impulses of the id, and it functions on the reality principle. Please remember id and the ego. The superego is the set of morals and standards of behavior, that each one gains from their parents and the environment, so surroundings. Now, ego will guide the id based on the superego. Superego has got two parts, we said, the conscience and the ego ideal. My dear students, why do we mention about Sigmund Freud and his theory of psychoanalysis? We mention Sigmund Freud and psychoanalysis because psychoanalysis is used very much in literary criticisms. It is very important for students of literature. So we shall talk something about psychoanalysis in literary criticisms. Psychoanalysis in literary criticisms. That is important for any student of literature. The psychoanalytical theory is a widely used theory of literary criticisms that is used by literary theorists to interpret literary texts. So, psychoanalytical theory argues that literary texts are like dreams. Like dreams that these texts express the secret unconscious desires and anxieties of the author. The literary text is a manifestation of the author's own neurosis. So literary texts are like dreams that have to be interpreted. So this is the importance of psychoanalysis. These texts have manifest content as well as latent or hidden content. So the methods of psychoanalysis can be employed in the interpretation of literary texts. Thus, psychoanalysis is used in literary criticisms. That is the importance of Sigmund Freud and psychoanalysis. Before we conclude our lecture, let me once again state what is psychoanalytic criticism. The psychoanalytic literary criticism is a literary theory or literary criticism that is influenced by psychoanalysis, and the psychoanalytic reading of the text is practiced from the time of psychoanalysis itself. So what is psychoanalytic reading of the text? The psychoanalytic reading of the text can be said as the psychoanalysis of the author or the psychoanalysis of a character in the given work. Like any other literary criticism, the psychoanalytic criticism can bring about useful clues about some symbols, useful clues about some actions or some settings that are used in the text. It will help to interpret the text. So psychoanalytical criticism will help to interpret the text. There are so many important works by Sigmund Freud. Some of them we must remember. Studies on Hysteria was published in 1895 by Sigmund Freud, and as we have mentioned earlier, the Interpretation of Dreams was published in 1899, and one more book we can remember is Introduction to Psychoanalysis, that was published in 1917. So my dear students, I have just introduced the important personality of Sigmund Freud, who lived in the Victorian era, and his theory of psychoanalysis. His theory of psychoanalysis will be adopted as the psychoanalytical theory of literary criticism, wherein a psychoanalytic reading of the text is done to reveal the psychoanalysis of the author or the characters in the text. So my dear students, like Charles Darwin, like Karl Marx, like J.S. Mill, John Stuart Mill, Sigmund Freud also is an important personality that we need to remember when we study the Victorian era. Sigmund Freud and his theory of psychoanalysis. All that we have discussed in our lecture is not very much part of our syllabus. We need to know who is Sigmund Freud, and we also need to know something of his theory of psychoanalysis. Please remember the date and name of the books that he has published. 3 of them we have mentioned. For your assignment today, please write a short description about the personality of Sigmund Freud, a short description of psychoanalysis, and the psychoanalytic literary criticism. Please mention also the books that he has written with the year of his publishing. Thank you for your patient listening. We hope to meet again soon with another lecture. Have a nice time.